Stephen A. Smith just went after Stephanie White on national TV, and he's not done. Because buried in this whole mess is something White has known for years and never told anyone. A secret with DiJonai Carrington that changes everything about why White defended her after that clothesline on Sophie Cunningham. Instead of standing up for her own player, Stephanie White stood up for Carrington. What happened next got White booed in her own arena and got Stephen A. Smith calling for their heads, exposing both White, Carrington, and the entire WNBA. Should the WNBA fire Carrington, White, or both? Let me know down in the comments below.
Everybody's running from the big elephant in the room involving the WNBA and the latest with Coach Stephanie White of the Indiana Fever going on a little tirade during a post-game press conference because people were accusing her of not supporting her player after Sophie Cunningham was essentially, knocked upside the damn head by DiJonai Carrington, and she didn't speak up fervently enough on behalf of Sophie Cunningham and was complimentary of DiJonai Carrington.
Sophie Cunningham is breaking toward the rim on a clean, fast break. Nothing but daylight in front of her. And Carrington comes from behind and just wipes her out. Arm across the neck, full windup, full follow-through, and Cunningham hits the floor hard. The whole building goes quiet for a second because everybody in that arena knows what they just saw wasn't defense. It wasn't a reach-in, it wasn't a hard foul, it was a girl getting clotheslined on a breakaway.
Face coming down, trying to prevent the layup, but that is just a hard hit. That's definitely going to be upgraded, I think, to a flagrant 2, Ryan.
I think that is going to be a flagrant 2. There is wind up, there is follow through, there's potential for injury.
Without
Sophie
question.
Cunningham in a vulnerable position in the air.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's no question.
The referees reviewed it and didn't hesitate long. They upgraded it to a flagrant 2, which means Carrington was gone for the night. The league's own pool report laid it out plain: unnecessary and excessive contact against a player in a vulnerable position. That's the exact language from the rulebook, and it fits this play like a glove. Cunningham didn't even get dinged for how she reacted afterward, because officials said her response to that kind of hit was acceptable given what just happened to her body. And this isn't new for Carrington. Rewind to the 2024 playoffs, and she's poking Caitlyn Clark directly in the eye, leaving her with a black eye that every basketball fan in the country saw replayed for a week straight. Carrington claimed she didn't even know she made contact, said she was just following through on a play at the ball. Except when you watch the film, her arm goes straight up into Clark's face with nothing resembling a basketball move happening anywhere near it. That's the pattern here, and it's not subtle. Go back through Fever matchups over the past couple seasons and you keep finding Carrington's hands ending up near someone's head or neck, usually Clark's, usually Cunningham's, and rarely anywhere close to the ball.
DiJonai, did you, when you went and kind of swatted at Caitlyn, did you intend to hit her in the eye? And if so, could you just, or if not, either way, could you talk about what happened on that play?
I don't even know why I would intend to hit anybody in the eye. That doesn't even make sense to me. But no, I didn't. I didn't know I hit her, actually. I was trying to make a play on the ball, and I guess I followed through and I hit her. So obviously it's never intentional. That's not even like the type of player that I am.
Chicago's own crowd turned on her for it. After the ejection, the United Center, Carrington's home arena, started chanting Cunningham's name. Think about how rare that is. A home crowd cheering for the player their own teammate just took out. That's not fans being disloyal. That's fans knowing a dirty play when they see one, even when their own team commits it. Then Carrington got on social media minutes after the game and posted "white privilege," tagging the Fever's account directly, along with the date of their next matchup. A foul that should have ended with an ejection and a suspension review turned into a national argument about race within the hour. Cunningham herself shut that down fast, pointing out she'd been ejected for the same type of play before and accepted it without turning it into anything bigger than a basketball moment. Players and commentators around the league called Carrington's post reckless because the film shows exactly what happened, and none of it has anything to do with race. It has to do with an arm across a neck on a breakaway layup.
You had people booing her on our own home court. I'm talking about coach of the Indiana Fever, Stephanie White. People booing her. You had a lieutenant governor, invoking himself into the equation, or implementing himself into the proceedings, calling for her to be fired. And it's created an uproar.
What made it worse is that this wasn't some isolated flash of frustration. This is a player with a track record, going back multiple seasons, of putting hands and arms near the heads and faces of Fever players specifically. Clark's eye in 2024, Cunningham's neck in 2026, and other incidents sprinkled in between involving different opponents entirely. That's not bad luck. That's a habit. And here's what should have happened next. The head coach stands up, protects her player, and calls the foul what it was. Instead, the person who should have spoken up for Cunningham that night stayed silent about the hit and found something else to defend entirely.
Sophie Cunningham, of course, as usual, responding and not taking it lying down, responded to all of this, saying, I think the league is taking care of that, meaning the foul. And this has nothing to do with race. Last year, I did the same thing, and I got kicked out of a game, and I deserved to be kicked out. There's no reason even to play that card, meaning the race card. Clearly, I think it was unnecessary. I don't even know her. She wasn't even on the team last year when all that was going on. But I do think people play the Fever. We're nationally televised. There's a lot of eyes on us, and people just want attention. And that's her just trying to get attention.
Stephen A. got on his show and asked the question every single Fever fan wanted answered. How are you the head coach on the sideline during the play, covering the game or coaching the game, and you didn't see the play? That's not a gotcha question. That's just common sense, because coaches watch the floor for a living. Smith kept pushing on it too, saying, I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm like, what do you mean you didn't see the play? What, you not watch it? We saw it. You're coaching the game up and down the court. It's your job to coach the game, watch the game. How did you not see the play? And when you hear it laid out like that, White's excuse falls apart in real time.
Because you're not handling it right. You playing right into their hands. Right into their hands. Because you're not embracing the reality of the tense situation that the WNBA, and especially you as the coach of the Indiana Fever, is involved in. There are folks in Indiana at a home game booing you. You ain't the road team, you the home team, you the home coach, and they booing you.
Smith didn't stop at the excuse itself. He turned it into something bigger. He argued White wasn't embracing the reality of the tense situation that the WNBA, and especially you as the coach of the Indiana Fever, is involved in. That's Smith saying this isn't just a bad answer at a podium, it's a coach failing to grasp what her job actually requires in a moment like this. And then he brought up the booing directly, pointing out something that should embarrass any coach in professional sports. There are folks in Indiana at a home game booing you. You ain't the road team, you the home team, you the home coach, and they're booing you. Your own building, your own fans turning on you.
The head coach for your Fever and Eastern Conference Coach of the Month, Stephanie White.
God, I wish they'd fire her already.
From there, Smith zoomed out even further, connecting White's fumbling response to a much bigger problem in the league. White talked about the fear-mongering, the divisiveness, the stuff that's trying to hijack our league, and said flatly that it will not win. Then he turned it right back on White, telling her, "You're playing right into their hands, right into their hands." Meaning her silence and her excuses were doing more damage than the original foul ever could. And then Smith did something that made the whole thing explode online. He hinted there's more to this, something about Carrington that White has known for a long time and never said out loud. He didn't spell it out completely, he let it sit there, And that little tease is exactly what got clipped and reposted everywhere within hours.
How are you the head coach on the sideline during the play, covering the game, or coaching the game, and you didn't see the play? I'm just asking. I'm not saying it's impossible, but I'm like, what do you mean you didn't see the play? Well, you not watching? We saw it. You coaching the game. Up and down the court. It's your job to coach the game, watch the game. How did you not see the play?
Other commentators jumped on the same angle almost immediately. Tommy Lahren said White's pregame comments felt very performative, adding that White seemed more upset at the reaction than she is about what happened to her own player. Dan Dockich went even harder, calling White the dumbest coach I have ever seen, and questioning whether she should even be trusted to answer basic questions about her own team. That clip didn't die after one news cycle either. It kept getting reposted for days, picked up by outlets, shared by huge accounts, and dissected clip by clip online. Which raises the obvious question everybody started asking: what exactly does Stephen A. Smith know about Carrington that the rest of us don't? Because Smith made one thing clear before signing off: the full story was coming, and by his own words, it's worse than anybody thinks.
We are united. We are connected. We will not be divided. Every day these women put their on the line. Every day. When they go low, we go high. Love will win. Grace will win. Humility will win. And kindness will win. I stand by them. I will always stand by them. Everybody else can go to hell.
White stood at that podium and told reporters, "I didn't see the play in real time. I went straight to a press conference. I thought the play got called right." That excuse doesn't hold up, because White is the head coach, standing on the sideline, watching the exact spot where Cunningham got hit. Broadcast footage shows her body facing the play, her eyes tracking the ball, right as Carrington's arm connects. A finger points at her in the replay analysis, right there, watching it happen in real time. So either she saw it and lied about it, or she wasn't watching her own team during a fast break. Neither one is something a head coach should be okay with.
Trying to create a fabrication or distortion of who I am, of what I'm about. Our players' success, our players' health and wellness, our players' safety is always a top priority for me. One of the things I pride myself on is my relationships with players. For those who have anything to say about the play in the last game, I didn't see the play in real time. I went straight to a press conference. I thought the play got called right. Thankfully, Sophie's okay. Was it egregious? Absolutely. When you have a chance to watch that over and over and over on replay, you can see that. I didn't have that in real time.
Then White kept talking, and that's where it got worse. She admitted, was it egregious? Absolutely. But the very next thing out of her mouth was praise for Carrington. One of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup. And so, I don't oppose the hard foul. Cunningham is the one who hit the floor, and White spent her answer defending the player who put her there.
One of the things about Nay is that she's going to play her butt off, man. She's going to compete. Nobody's going to go walking in for a layup. And so I don't oppose the hard foul, but I also don't think that she intentionally went for the net.
New footage made it worse. It showed White walking toward Carrington first, checking on her before she ever looked at Cunningham. That single detail did more damage than anything she said at the podium, because actions like that don't lie. Indiana's own Lieutenant Governor, Micah Beckwith, posted that the Fever need to let Stephanie White go, calling it terrible coaching, and saying the team needs to defend their players. At the next home game, thousands of fans booed White during introductions. Her response was a tirade about love, grace, and kindness winning, followed by telling critics to go to hell. Fans remembered her walking back criticism of Alyssa Thomas after Thomas hit Clark in the throat too. A pattern, not a slip. Here's the secret Stephen A. Smith was teasing. Stephanie White coached Carrington for 2 seasons with the Connecticut Sun, from 2023 to 2024. This wasn't some assistant coach connection or a brief crossover. White ran that team, and Carrington played under her during the exact stretch when Carrington built her reputation as one of the most aggressive defenders in the league. White didn't just witness that reputation from a distance. She built it with her, game by game, practice by practice, for 2 full years.
You don't know what the hell you're talking about if you think this woman should get fired and lose a job and all of this other stuff because of the DiJonai Carrington foul on Sophie Cunningham. What she's saying is, it ain't about basketball. It's not about basketball. And you looking into the cameras, no matter who you are, and saying, can we get back to basketball? Can we get back to basketball? No, they're not going to do it. They should. It would be the right thing to do. It would be the decent thing to do. It would be the fair thing to do. Since when have they been interested in being fair?
Think about what that means for player development. A head coach spends 2 seasons shaping how a player defends, how far she's willing to go to stop somebody, what habits get rewarded and which ones get corrected. Carrington's style of play, the reaching, the physicality near the head and face, the willingness to send a message with contact, all of that got built in real time under White's watch. And Sophie Cunningham said as much herself when defending White publicly, pointing out she coached her for I don't know how many years up in Connecticut, so give her flowers. Cunningham meant that as praise.
She coached her for I don't know how many years up in Connecticut, so give her flowers, and she didn't see it, and that's okay.
What it actually reveals is the conflict sitting underneath this whole controversy, because if White coached Carrington through that development, she knows exactly what kind of player Carrington is. She's seen the eye poke pattern before it ever touched Caitlyn Clark. She's seen a teammate get hurt by Carrington's aggression before Sophie Cunningham hit the floor. None of this is new information to White. So when she got up at that podium and praised Carrington for playing her butt off and competing hard, she wasn't describing a surprise. She was repeating the same language she's used about Carrington for years, going back to Connecticut. That's why her defense doesn't read as naive anymore. It reads as consistent. White's best seasons as a head coach came in Connecticut, with Carrington on the floor as one of her main defensive weapons, and that success is part of her coaching record now. Carrington's reputation as an enforcer didn't just help the Sun win games, it helped build White's resume. So when White stood there defending the exact style of play that ended Cunningham's night, she wasn't protecting a stranger. She was protecting somebody she helped create, somebody whose aggression contributed to her own coaching success.
But I respectfully submit to you that both of them, along with Coach Stephanie White, are not embracing the real issue with the true fervor that it deserves. What started with Caitlyn Clark and how that was viewed as somebody who's a fantastic player and a fantastic addition to the WNBA being resisted as it pertains to her presence in the league because of whatever feelings some had, not most, not all, but just some, has morphed into something entirely more significant.
That changes the "I didn't see the play" excuse completely. This isn't one bad answer from a coach caught off guard. It's a pattern of protecting Carrington that goes back years, dressed up as a coaching philosophy about competing hard. Once fans and media made that connection, the booing in Indiana stopped looking like an overreaction and started looking earned. People weren't mad about one press conference anymore. They were mad because the coach in charge of protecting Sophie Cunningham had a history with the player who hurt her and picked her anyway. And here's what makes it sting even more. Clark and Cunningham defended White publicly through all of this, giving her the benefit of the doubt even as the footage and the history piled up against her. That loyalty from her own players makes White's choice look worse, not better. Because the players she's supposed to protect stood up for her, while she stood up for the player who hurt one of them. That's the secret Smith was circling the whole time. White has known exactly who Carrington is for years, and when it mattered most, she picked her side anyway.
And rather than riding that cash cow and acknowledging the reality of a rising tide lifting all boats, there were some who were resistant to it. They weren't resistant to Caitlyn Clark specifically. They weren't resistant to a White star. What they were resistant to was folks acting like the WNBA never mattered with all the hard work that they put forth all of these decades until Caitlyn Clark came along. That's where the resentment lied.
Strip away the coaching drama for a second and look at what Indiana actually has on the floor. Clark put up 26 points and 11 assists in that same Chicago game, the one where Carrington got tossed for taking her teammate's head off. Kelsey Mitchell led all scorers with 27 points that night, and she's riding a WNBA record of 16 straight games scoring 20 or more. Aaliyah Boston added 13 points and 11 rebounds, doing the quiet work that doesn't trend on social media but wins basketball games anyway. None of that happens by accident, and none of it depends on whatever White says at a podium. Boston, Mitchell, Hull, and Cunningham have built something on that floor that doesn't need a coach's press conference to hold together. You can see it in how they rotate on defense, how they find each other in transition, how Cunningham throws her body around knowing Boston's got the rebound and Mitchell's got the shot. That chemistry got built through reps, through losses, through Clark drawing double teams and kicking it out to shooters who've earned her trust. A locker room like that doesn't crack because fans are angry at the coach. If anything, the noise outside seems to have pushed these players closer together.
And Caitlyn Clark will facilitate bringing attention to other great talents in the WNBA, forcing you to appreciate them even more. Just like Magic and Bird forced everybody to appreciate the NBA. The NBA was once on tape delay.
So when fans booed White, that wasn't hatred for the team. That was frustration that nobody up top was protecting what Clark and Cunningham built with their own hands. Indiana sits at 20-12, fourth place in the league, with a roster that can compete with anybody in a 7-game series. Clark's in the middle of an MVP case, and the front office knows this roster's window is open right now, not in some hypothetical future. That's exactly why this controversy might end up helping the franchise. Ownership can't ignore booing crowds or a lieutenant governor calling for a firing. Pressure like this usually forces change, and change here means finally holding the coaching staff to the same standard the players hold themselves to every night. A team this talented doesn't need distractions. It needs a coach willing to defend it as hard as it defends itself on the floor. Get that piece right, and Indiana isn't just competing for a title. They're built to win one. Should the WNBA fire Carrington, White, or both? Let me know down in the comments below. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications as we're bringing you all the action and top stories. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.